there's like maybe a rebate I know, or power outage, or I want to go to source of information. So I think people may know it's there, but they may not just become a member of our page or follow us. But I think that we still may be a source of information. I do think that with more collaboration that we've been doing with other regional partners and community groups, and the ability that these platforms have to share, I think we're able to continue to utilize it. We learned early on, I think, when we did some of our initial community surveys and phone surveys, like what demographics and how they use their information. Social media wasn't really a high one, and we didn't really invest a lot in it, and we did more traditional means, but we are seeing the demographics of people utilize it more, and we're seeing that the tools have these features that we are seeing some increase in, I think, knowledge transfer and knowledge sharing.
And other things besides social media, or is outreach, you seeing things that are becoming more effective or less effective, the trends in it? Or is that a big question, maybe?
And other than social media?
Yeah.
I think our water wisdom columns definitely reach a lot of people. We always hear about those. I had someone come up to me and like, you look really familiar. And we tried to figure it out. It was because she saw my face in the paper from that column. It's kind of funny. I think Water Smart is now reaching a lot more customers. I think was 82% are opening their emails. And so that's another way that we're reaching out to customers. And I actually had a meeting with Water Resources yesterday about how we could utilize that more so in the future and what that would look like. We also don't want to inundate people with email and have them unsubscribe and be like, you send me way too many emails, I'm going to unsubscribe from you. So it's a fine balance to, to reach people. And so I think that's why we try over a bunch of different ways, quick sips. We didn't mention what's on tap, which gets mailed semester 3 times a year. And so we try to keep, the paper for the folks that aren't on social media or aren't web savvy and don't feel comfortable going online. Our newspaper ads is another way. I don't really know the reach on those. I could get that information from Times Publishing Group about how many people are subscribing. But I don't know, do you guys look at ads when you're looking at the paper? Probably sometimes if it's catchy and colorful, it catches your eye.
I can
Latest
share
one
that.
had Diane on there.
I can share in the past, like when we would run an ad in Aptos Times. I don't think I've shared this with y'all, but I would look and see where the rebate bump was, and it was 8 to 10 people. So that was kind of the push that we would get out of that. But that was like 15 years ago too. So they're doing a much better job.
I also think that we've expanded like the different types of events we've going to. Like Mackenzie went to 2 beach cleanups this year at Seacliff Beach, and so that just gets a different demographic of people as well. And we brought the education trailer, and she interacted with a lot of people. So we're trying to expand and try different things to reach everybody.
Any other questions, clarification questions? I guess I'll open it up to public comment. Any comments?
Thank you for that report. My name is Becky Steinbruner. I don't use social media, but I'm always interested in the results of that, and I think it's really great that you can get a better handle on how many people are looking at your information. I visit your website quite frequently for different reasons, and I noticed today that the header on it changes now. And I think that's really a good thing. I did see something about the rate study there and different things. So I think those sorts of things keep it fresh and interesting when people do come to the website. I also have signed up to receive the Pure Water Soquel construction updates, and I find those of interest. I know other people who have also, and they do it because they want to know where the traffic is going to be bad. It has really caused some horrendous traffic things. So that's been very good of you to put that out. Regarding the rate increase, I saw that was also on your header. the rate assistance, and I looked into that a bit. That's only a one-time assistance. I don't think that was made clear at a presentation. I also read the Times articles in the Aptos Times, and I'm very grateful to the Times editor for giving the Water District that half-page space for Ms. Rubin to write her articles, and they are interesting. I have a question about the school presentation. Who writes the content for what gets presented at the school presentations? You mentioned something about a video or something that was created, because it's very important that while it's entertaining, that it's educationally, that it is accurate information being put out. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Staff want to respond to anything?
I'll just make an additional comment. You know, what the small but mighty team does in outreach is magnificent for the tools and the resources they have. You can see it from my chair. I especially appreciate the way that you enhance the other departments. It's not just outreach. You do your own thing, but you leverage them. And to take it to another extent, I was thinking, how long ago was that? Well, my son's 23, he was 16, so 7 years ago. I was at the DMV and helping him get his license, and our maintenance crew was out in the road there exercising a valve, and my son said something. Look at those guys. They're working. You know, he was attracted by that, and the lady at the DMV goes, yeah, and they're working really hard. It looks like Soquel Creek because the truck was parked there. My point of that is that we try to, everybody's an ambassador to some degree, whether you're communicating directly or just standing there, they're watching us. And so I feel like the district does a good job of that. And that was a moment of proof to that, right? Every behavior, how we drive and everything, we try to, in some sense, make it, we're aware it's somehow, we're relating to the public. So just thank y'all for all the work.
All right. Any director comments?
Oh, well, thank you. Actually, it's a great update. I wanted to let you know I missed a lot of it this last year. So I really appreciate seeing what I missed. And also, I'm interested to see that video too, just to see. But I can also reflect, I happen to walk around town, at least in Capitola, quite a bit every day. And I see a lot of our workers out on calls, on doing things, and always very professional. I have to say that they are good ambassadors, and we should maybe include them even in some of our posts, get some comments or something. Because people know those guys.
Sorry, Carla. Any other comments? I have one. Can you pull up the WaterSmart page again? I should have said something before you closed it. Yeah, amazing. 82% of people reading any email in this day and age, with everyone being bombarded by so many emails. So I think that's fantastic. The 66% is great, but I will not be happy until it's 100%. I just want to say that it's such a powerful tool to see what your water use is, and you can get down to the hourly water use. I can tell when my daughter is back from college and taking long showers. I can tell a lot of things from it, and of course leaks. If you can, it saves. I'm sure it saved the aquifer from having to produce more water because of leaks. But the average monthly visits seems low. So that's people like me clicking on to see what their water use is. So I don't know whether it seems low to other directors, but I'd like to see that go up, because I think really with awareness of how you're using water, you have power then to change your habits if you want to, or at least be aware of what you're doing. And it's a great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I make a couple comments?
Sure.
I can find out what other average monthly visits look like from WaterSmart, from other agencies. I can look up that number for you. We also used WaterSmart to let all the customers know about the rate study and the open house coming up. I believe it was last week. And then our ad campaign this year is going to focus on staff and what we do to keep the district running. So the first one that Director Licky you saw with Diane on the phone. So you'll see a series of those every month with somebody else featured at the district and about their job. And then lastly, I was just going to respond to Ms. Steinbrenner that we work directly with the performers on the content that they deliver to the schools. Yeah, you're welcome.
I expected that. And when you're finding out how many visits other agencies have, if there's an agency with more visits, maybe you could reach out to them and find out what they're doing, whether it's just a different, demographic for their district, or whether there's some way they're promoting getting more visits.
Of course, we'll do that. And I'll also add, we're constantly thinking, what can we do? So for example, we know as water rates potentially change, and how does that impact other things such as our leak policy? And then does our leak policy play into this to try to encourage, could the leak policy somehow be dependent upon you have to sign up for WaterSmart? So we're constantly floating ideas like that. They haven't come to you yet, but we're aware of your desire to increase it and the whole board's desire and our desire, right? Because it's an amazing tool.
I'd like to also just elaborate a little bit more on Ron Duncan's comment about the outreach group, the little outreach group that could. It's I've been to a couple of meetings, statewide meetings, and talked to different agencies about what their actual budget is. And, because it really is an important, especially with the changing nature of our water needs. We have, 71% of all communities in the world have depleted groundwater. This is a really serious change that all water districts are facing to provide sustainable and reliable water. So they spend a lot of effort. It's a serious effort, this outreach to, especially in California, but their budgets are just dramatically higher. I don't even want to go into how much it would, if we had a budget like Santa Clara Water District, we'd be swimming in money. But we do a lot, and the team deserves a lot of credit for all that they've done over this last 8 years. Just really impressive. Thank you.
All right.
Does a person have to be on WaterSmart to get an alert for their water use?
No. If there's a leak, they'll still get an email or a call.
Now, one of my neighbors was concerned because her bill was like $100 more, and I said, well, maybe I have a leak or something. She thought the rates had already gone up, and I was like, no. And if they had, it probably wouldn't be that high, because the next level isn't going to be that high.
Yeah, we strive. Based on our water resources does. If it's a big leak, it's the email, it's the telephone call, it's the go out there if we get no response. Gauge it appropriately.
I'll have to set her up on WaterSmart and see what it looks like.
Yeah, and she can call us too. We'll be glad to take care of it. But I will gush on for one more moment, because I know I talked about O&M and I just got to do it. But when I get the luxury of seeing things, letters come to me, things from customers, so our customer service office, I walk by them every day. I talk to them every day. And sometimes when you just sit there and listen to them, They are so empathetic. You know, they really listen. It's our people make that difference. You know, they do care. There is no doubt. And then the crew out back, underwater resources, going out checking on the meters and leaks and that sort of thing. You know, of course, I've had the privilege to work with, manage most of them when I was conservation manager, and they're passionate about what they do and the comments you get back. So I think that's what makes us who we are.
All right, thank you. That brings us to 7.3, review and update of the special board assignment status report. That's you, right, Ron?
Yeah, it's probably a combination of Emma, myself, and maybe Melanie will chime in. But this was an item, Dr. Jaffe, you as board president, I think in your quest to continually try to improve and be more efficient, asked for this item to come back for discussion, because it's on once a month. And what it is, it's our assignments that the board, somebody might say, hey, could we look into that? And of course, we put it on there. You know what it is. It's on the agenda for tonight under consent. It was I think what's important that maybe not all board members might not know, it was created, 15 years ago. I think there was a question of were things slipping off or staying on. So it was a way to legitimize that process. And that's been going on, well, since then. And so it's brought to you tonight to see if there's anything the board would like done differently, from we don't need it to let's enhance it, or frequency. I posed, I think, 5 questions there, just to kind of get brainstorming going. So we're all ears.
Okay, public comment? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
I mean, I think it should be on for a regular review of whether we want certain items to be kept on there or modified. And so I don't know if we see it, but we don't like have it as an item to say, to review. Like I said, just so we can, because there's some things on here we may not want to have on there anymore.
So maybe something that you can discuss like twice a year, pull it off the consent and have it on the regular one for
Yeah, like
discussion or
6 months
something.
would be good.
Maybe if there's something you're considering removing, instead of black, make it gray or something like that to make us aware that the staff thinks that it's no longer should be on there.
Okay.
I like the color scheme, you know, red for new items.
Mhm.
And the blue, I went back through an old minutes, and there was a blue too. What was the blue color used for?
Well, one color, I forget the colors. There's red and blue. One is to denote, go ahead, Emma.
Red is new items, blue is to be deleted. So we'll show it as blue and then bring it to you. And after the meeting is when we delete
Right,
it.
when it's been addressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you say how it was addressed. I remember now. Yeah.
So here's an example up on the screen to give it this, because it's this item that we're talking about is also in the consent agenda. Be clear to the public.
Right,
So,
right.
and maybe go down, Melanie, see if you see any blue. If it's,
There wasn't.
was any this time? Yeah.
No.
So there was nothing that we accomplished that we're removing on this one, just new item.
Well, I mean, maybe the water audit validity score increase could have been in blue because that has been addressed.
Does the frequency, I'm also interested, does the board want to see it every month? Is that, or do you want to see it more quarterly? We're going to keep it either way. But I almost wonder if it becomes like stale. We just kind of glaze over it if we bring it, you know.
Well, it helps me
Okay.
just because, you know, sometime between meetings, I forget what's been done at the last meeting, so it's real helpful.
Great.
No, I think it serves a purpose to have it show up every board meeting, even if it's on the consent agenda. I'm one of those people who's a little bit slow on figuring out what this purpose of this was, and I was like, oh my gosh, board member mentioned something, and there it is. It's listed as a to-do item. I was really impressed, but I didn't really make the connection until fairly recently. So I really do think it does serve a way to collect and keep from forgetting things that have been said. And I'd say that was a really good system.
Okay.
I find it useful, and I think it should stay once a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then review every 6 months is what I'm hearing. pulled
Yeah,
off.
the review every 6 months sounds wonderful.
And what would the process be of removing an item?
Usually, what you see on there is a date when it was assigned and a date when it's completed. And usually the date completed is when we discuss it at a board meeting. I think what's important to note is the board president has the authority to agendize board items. So the way I see this list and working is if any board member wants something on the agenda, we put it here and then we discuss it with the board president and all y'all come through that. So that's how, the official, when it, we go and say, oh, we have time to work on it now and make sure that the board president deems it okay because they're the keeper of the agenda.
Right, but any board member can
Yeah,
request.
anytime a board member, we try to take note and put it there and then validate it with the board president.
Gotcha. So would the time to remove an item that's no longer, no longer perhaps needed or low priority, would that be to pull the consent item for this and then discuss it? Would that be
We
the
could, or
process?
at the 6 month interval. Here we got the reserve list and like I think the name, is the name change on there? Okay. Well, after what we've seen go on about name changes, but more importantly, do we want to just take it off? If you want to do a name change in the future, the board can always put it back on, but it's ink, Somebody teased me at a meeting. They said they had seen our agenda and said they had a name to offer us. This was back when Cabrillo was thinking, they were inferring that it would be Cabrillo, and jokingly. But that one, I can't quite see him from here, but yeah, so the couple up there, I guess from the point of view of staff psyche, I know like Shelley's like, we've contacted WaterSmart. They're really apprehensive about an app. Melanie was working with Shelley. I think in some way you can make a website kind of look like an app. So we're kind of exploring that, which would get us in there. So, we'll probably bring that back to you and then hopefully we can take them off because it does, I still think about that thermometer idea, which I think is number one up there, the health of the basin. There's just issues with it.
But you've got other things on your plate.
We do. Yeah.
I know that one, it seems like that's going to be obviated by once we get Pure Water Soquel.
Yeah.
Right. But it could show it that, I still think about it as a thermometer, like our collection of funds, and then it goes up. The problem is groundwater doesn't usually change that dramatically.
So
It's static.
do we think basically the reserve list would be evaluated at these 6 month intervals? And then we could bump it up or remove it?
Yeah. So we'll bring it every month. It'll be on the consent every month, except for 2 months out of the year, about 6 months apart. We'll bring it and put it in regular administrative business for further discussion.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing.
Does anybody want to make that motion or do you need
I
a
was
motion?
wondering,
Either way.
yeah, I'll make the motion. That way it'll be official. So everybody clear on it? Okay.
Okay, I'll second. Can we take off the name change?
No, that's a separate item. This is just that we're going to see it once a month and it's going to be reviewed
Oh.
every 6 months.
Okay,
Okay.
second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a closed session and we do have an agenda item, a consent item that was pulled.
Yes. So we
So what's the normal
do that before closed session? Before closed session.
before? Okay. All right. Who is going to present on 4.4 or do you want to talk about?
Yeah, we'll have Nick Emmert, our O&M manager, come up and answer any questions. It's quite a great report. I love the yearly status report. They put a lot of time into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting, right? It's about
Yeah.
how the well's performing at its heart.
Great to keep up to date.
Good evening.
Yeah. Thanks, Nick. I really, I thought the report was awesome. I had a quick question on the chart on page 42 of the packet.
There.
Um,
No, at the bottom right of the packet. You might not have it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have the packet. I've got the report. Which section of the report?
Table.
It's a table.
It says
Table
table one. Yeah, well and water treatment, WTP, maintenance summary.
After the peak demand stuff?
Oh, okay, yeah.
basically, yeah, it's under the last section called water treatment plant. There's a column titled last coding inspection, and all the wells say none or not applicable except for estates. And I understand that the coding inspection refers to the examination of the protective coatings that are applied to the well components and the casings, the screens, and other infrastructure. And obviously to ensure that they're, taken care of and effectively prevents corrosion. But I just don't understand why it says none or NA.
Yeah, so those are actually for the water treatment plant facilities themselves. So like the piping and the filters at the sites. And, it shouldn't, it says none because I don't think these have ever been inspected officially. They're inspected by staff on a daily basis. We just replaced a large section of the effluent piping at Garnett Water Treatment Plant, for example. So there's not been an official analysis of the coatings of the inside of some of these filter vessels. For the wells, anytime that we pull a pump out of the ground, anytime we pull the equipment up, it's our policy to video the well, to do an inspection of what's going on inside the well, looking at the screens and the status of the casing and making sure everything's intact. And if there's any sign of something that needs to be repaired, we address that as soon as possible because the wells are our backbone of the system. So I can see that's a little confusing why you would assume that. But yeah, the casings are inspected anytime we pull a well equipment.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. And yeah, good report. I guess we should open up for public comment. For 4.4 only, yes. Yeah, thank you.
Becky Steinbrenner. Thank you again, Director Balboni, for pulling this. I think it's a very comprehensive report and really should be a separate agenda item like you've done for us tonight. Thank you. My questions have to do, one of them with the O'Neill Ranch well and the problem of the ammonia treatment there. I referenced that a little bit earlier in my comment tonight about what I learned with at the Santa Cruz City Water Commission meeting last night. They are also seeing ammonia problems in their Belts 12 well, which is very close to the O'Neill Ranch well. And what they did was they brought in a 35-foot long by 10 feet diameter tank to treat water to increase contact time with chlorine to reduce the ammonia. And someone on the commission asked, because they're familiar with the problem that your district has at the O'Neill Ranch, asked how your district treated it. And it was said that you essentially put in the chlorine, and it's expected that while it's in the transmission pipes, it is treated. So that I'd like some clarification from the gentleman that was here. Is that really the treatment for the ammonia problem in the O'Neill Ranch? And if so, that would explain frequent complaints that I hear from people in the Soquel Village area of very high chlorine in their water. I also think that it's interesting, the production on page 39, showing your biggest producer is the Main Street well, which is very much tied to the stream levels in Soquel Creek. I was thankful to learn about the connection between Granite Way and T. Hopkins.
Thank you, Becky.
you.
Any other public comments? Becky, I'd like to refer to a report that was done. Boy, Tom, I'm going to ask, when was that done? That looked at the pumping in the O'Neill well and the water levels in Soquel 10 plus years ago. I'll get that information for you, and you can look at the report, and it does show that there's not a big connection at all, but you can evaluate that yourself.
That's correct.
But I'll send that to you, Becky. I'll send you the report, and then. All right. Was there nothing from staff on that? Nothing from directors? I guess we move into closed session. So before closed session, open it up for public comment.
Thank you, Becky Steinbruner. I'm a little confused. The agenda that was printed out does not include reference to section 54957, but your online version of the agenda did. And I copied that, just copied and pasted it from the website. So I'm happy to see it isn't here, because it has to do, when I looked up the government code 54957, it has to do with security threats. So I'm glad I don't see that here, but I just want to point out that that code is on the website's version. At least that's what I copied and pasted. I want to just say that I did receive notification regarding my appeal in the 6th District Court of Appeal regarding case 23CV02699, that the 6th District Court of Appeal did dismiss my appeal. And yet it states in here that the justices were disturbed by some of the claims that defendants, your attorney made regarding some of the issues, the legal issues. So at this point, I am planning to appeal it to the state Supreme Court. And I'm sorry. I would be willing to try to sit down at a table and talk about this, but there are many issues that need to be resolved yet, and I will be appealing that case.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment on closed session?
Not a public comment, but I'd like to make a comment. The board will be considering on item 8.3, a litigation threat from John Cole related to the proposed water rate adjustment. I want to make that known.
Thank you. I guess we're going to convene to closed session, and after closed session, we'll return to open session. I can't tell until we have closed session. So.
We're going to ask public members to leave while we have closed session. Thank you.